Hiring? Every business needs great people, and a better way to find them. Something better than posting your job online and just praying for the right people to see it. ZipRecruiter learns what you're looking for, identifies people with the right experience, and invites them to apply to your job. These invitations have revolutionized how you find your next hire. In fact, 80% of employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site in just one day. And ZipRecruiter doesn't stop there. They even spotlight the strongest applications you receive, so you never miss a great match. The right candidates are out there. ZipRecruiter is how you find them. Businesses of all sizes trust ZipRecruiter for their hiring needs. Right now, my listeners can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/Stephen A. That's ZipRecruiter.com/Stephen A. ZipRecruiter.com/Stephen A. That's with a PH, not a V. That's ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
This is the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I'm Stephen A. Everybody, welcome to the latest edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show, coming at you as I love to do over the airwaves of ESPN Radio every weekday. 250 plus markets across the United States of America, plus ESPN Radio on Sirius XM. Channel 80. Number to call up as always is 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. When you watch the Yankees smack 5 home runs yesterday, okay, everything is right in the world. At least this way. I'm here to tell you that right now. Gleyber Torres, 21-year-old rookie, hits a pair of homers off Pillsbury Doughboy himself, Bartolo Colon of the Texas Rangers, formerly of the New York Mets. Yankees win 10-5 Monday night at Globe Life Park in Arlington, Texas. I love it. Torres now has 6 home runs this season, all of them for more than 400 feet. By the way, the Yankees have won 22 of their last 26. Proved to a Major League best record of 31-13. Houston Astros, here we come. Houston Astros, here we come. I only say Houston because that's the only team I'm worried about. It's the only team I'm worried about getting in the Yankees' way, by the way. Just want to make sure I'm clear about that so nobody confuses anything. I expect the New York Yankees to exude and display sheer dominance this season, which they are doing. I am very happy, and all is good in the world. Enough about baseball. Let me say this. I watched LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers play a game last night. I watched LeBron James score 44 points. I watched him once again look like a man amongst boys. And to be quite honest with you, in fairness to him, ladies and gentlemen, it's almost to the point where it's like you don't even enjoy talking about him anymore. Because what else is there to say? When you witness what he does, and you witness what he brings to the table, and you witness his sheer dominance, right? I'm going to tell y'all something right now that nobody has thought about. When you think about the level of dominance he exudes, do you know why, for all those LeBron lovers out there, you might look at him and you might say, oh, damn, why you got to be a hater? I mean, why you got to find something to say about him? You know why, ladies and gentlemen? Because it looks unfair. When you look at an athletic young talent like Jaylen Brown, who looks like a child next to LeBron James, who looks like the Incredible Hulk, for crying out loud, what are you supposed to do? You look at Jason Tatum, who can absolutely positively ball at 6'9", but then you look at that skinny frame on him going up against LeBron James. What is he supposed to do? When you look at an aging veteran like Al Horford, who can really play and who's been very impressive, but he's pretty much a power forward playing center in today's NBA game, somewhat limited in what he can do against LeBron James. What is he supposed to do? When you look at a Terry Rozier, who's in his 3rd year in the National Basketball Association, his 3rd year out of Louisville, and you applaud the way that he has played in the absence of a Kyrie Irving, doing what he did against Eric Bledsoe in Milwaukee in the first round, doing what he did against Ben Simmons in the Philadelphia 76ers in the second round, the semifinals, and then going up and literally witnessing on the court as LeBron James orchestrates one play after another to take advantage of one mismatch after another that Brad Stevens, the coach of the Celtics, is trying to avoid. And LeBron James is basically out coaching him on the floor, where he's calling plays that's calling for picks and switches that ends up putting a guy like Terry Rozier on him, who is about 6 inches shorter and about 40 pounds lighter. I mean, what is he supposed to do? You look at a pit bull like Marcus Smart, who's a rough rider, ain't scared of a damn soul, ready to fight everybody, ready to sit up there getting a muck and mire with anybody. He's that kind of rough rider. He's that kind of competitor. And then he sits up there and he ends up flat on his back on the floor, courtesy of a forearm or an elbow from LeBron James, which wasn't intentional. He was just grabbing a rebound and putting back in a shot under the basket. What are you supposed to do? I mean, if we didn't know this was basketball, we would think LeBron James was a wrestler. If we didn't know him to be LeBron James and his hue wasn't considerably darker, we'd look at him from behind thinking he's Goldberg, for crying out loud. I mean, you just can't make this stuff up. He looks like a damn Hulk. That's how big LeBron is. I didn't get into his ability to handle the basketball, pass the basketball, shoot the basketball, lead fast breaks, rebound, defend. I didn't bring all of that into the equation yet. What are you supposed to do? There's a reason the Golden State Warriors were drooling at the mouth at the mere thought of Kevin Durant electing to choose them over Miami or anybody else and come to Golden State, because Kevin Durant is only his own different kind of freak of nature. See, he's actually taller than LeBron James with his own handle, and he can shoot considerably better than LeBron James. And so when you couple him with the greatest shooter this planet has ever seen in Steph Curry, and another shooter extraordinaire in Klay Thompson, and a utility man extraordinaire in Draymond Green, I mean, that's what it takes to beat LeBron. And I'm not even trying to sit up there and disqualify the Boston Celtics from the rest of this series, because the supporting cast of LeBron James has been so god-awful in Boston. I don't know what to make of this series with them. I don't know who you can trust. All I know is this. There is no answer in the Eastern Conference for LeBron James. The only thing that comes close to an answer is on the bench in Boston and Kyrie Irving, because he knows all the things that come along with LeBron. And he's got the skill sets to make things happen, because Kyrie Irving is that gifted. In case you forgot, no matter what you've seen from Terry Rozier, no matter how impressive this kid has been, no matter how gifted he is, he ain't Kyrie. And so now we have ourselves a series in the Eastern Conference, a series that is tied 2-2, going back to Boston Wednesday night for Game 5, with all the chips on the line as far as I'm concerned. I don't like the notion of Cleveland in a Game 7 in Boston, because that crowd is so rabid. That crowd is so electrifying. That will be enough, in my opinion, to make Cleveland's supporting cast wilt beneath the pressure. That I don't like for Cleveland. I don't trust the rest of those guys in Boston. I trust them in Cleveland, though. So Game 5 to me is everything. I picked Cleveland to win this series in 6 games before the series began, and I'm holding on to it, believing that, again, they could get swept if they lose Game 3, but I didn't pick them to lose Game 3 because I knew they'd win that game. Didn't know they'd blow Boston out the way that they did, but I knew they'd win that game. So now that they won that game, and then they won Game 4, and that the series is now tied 2-2, we got ourselves a different series. Game 5 is everything. Because if you Boston, you don't want to go back to Cleveland down 3-2 with a Game 6. If you Cleveland, you don't want Boston to win, knowing that you got to win Game 6 and then have to go back to Boston for Game 7. You are doing everything that you can. You are going all out if you are the Cleveland Cavaliers to win Game 5. Because Game 5 is your season. That's what we're looking at. That's what we're faced with. That's the dilemma staring everybody in the face. And there's no reason to shy away from it. This is what it is. This is the truth of the matter. This is what LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers are faced with and against going into Game 5 at TD Bank Garden in Boston, Massachusetts. And it's going to be real interesting to see what happens. Because outside of LeBron James electing to take his talents to the city of brotherly love, this is it for him in the Eastern Conference. This is the year. He doesn't finish the job in the East this year, it ain't happening next year. Once Kyrie and Gordon Hayward coming back, I'm here to tell y'all right now, Cleveland ain't beating Boston. Philadelphia is not beating Boston. Tell you that right now. Not unless LeBron went to Philly. So we need to pay attention to all the stuff that's unfolding before our very eyes because things are getting incredibly, incredibly interesting. And we shall see how things happen. By the way, I forgot to tell you it's time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless, best phones, best networks, no contracts, but it don't matter because I ain't finished. I'm not finished. There was a difference between games 1 and 2 in Boston compared to games 3 and 4 in Cleveland. Don't take my word for it. Listen to LeBron James break it down. Take it away, Cat.
I mean, obviously we were a lot better defensively, flying around and making them take, contested shots and making them make the extra pass and still being able to fly around. And our communication level has been up, obviously in the last 2 games. So we got to, as loud as it is in the Garden, we got to be able to transfer that energy and that communication in Game 5, and in order for us to be better than we were in Game 1 and 2.
Defensively, they did step up. Defensively, they made Boston look like a questionable offense. Jaylen Brown showed up and dropped 25. Jason Tatum wasn't the same. Marcus Smart wasn't the same. Terry Rozier wasn't the same. Al Horford clearly was not the same. Marcus Morris was not the same. Aaron Baines was not the same. I suspect it'll be different in Boston. I don't think that can be denied. But we shall see. We shall definitely see. By the way, Mark Jackson, ESPN and NBA analyst, was on with Scott Van Pelt last night, before I was actually, said something very interesting about the Cavs, that he was never concerned with the Cavs being down 0-2. Listen to what he said.
Pretty much after the Celtics went up 2-0, I thought the Cavs had no reason to panic. They had the best player on the planet on their team, and more importantly, going home, the history of the playoffs tells me that the role players play better. And that certainly was the case in this series in games 3 and 4. Now the concern going back to Boston is, those young guys are going to be better. The crowd is going to be crazy, and they're going to be playing with much more aggressiveness and looking to attack. So it'll be interesting from this point moving forward. But at the end of the day, if you're the Cavs, you have the best player in the world on your roster.
Couldn't agree with Mark Jackson more. Astute analysis on his part, no question about it. As an aside, by the way, talking about the best player in the world, talking about LeBron James, he's gone from being idolized to being immortalized in his hometown. Some GoFundMe account has been established with the goal to raise $1 million to sculpt and erect a life-size statue of James in Akron, Ohio, where he began his basketball career before becoming a superstar with the Cleveland Cavaliers. I'm reading from an article in the Associated Press by Mr. Tom Withers. Aaron Carey, who, like James, played in Akron, St. Vincent, St. Mary High School, began the campaign to raise money to honor the 3-time champion. He says, quote, "We want to do this with the fans. We want fans to be able to thank LeBron for what he has done for Akron." I will say this, ladies and gentlemen, anybody who can afford to should contribute to that cause, especially if you're from Akron, Ohio. What LeBron James has done for that community cannot be measured. Hundreds, if not thousands of kids to college. He sent them there. His I Promise Foundation and what they've been able to do. His other charitable ventures, which are unquestioned. The manner in which he has conducted himself as the iconic, preeminent, global face of basketball and one of the preeminent faces in all of sports in the world. There is no getting around. There is no denying LeBron James' contribution and what he means to the city of Akron. I'm not down with all them damn statues. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not a fan of seeing all of them surrounding the Staples Center. I mean, how many are you going to give out? You know how many stars that the Lakers have had there? And by the way, if it's the Staples Center, I don't understand for the life of me why Oscar De La Hoya got a statue. I love Oscar. But, I mean, I understand that he's from the area. But he didn't play at Staples Center in a Lakers uniform. He was a boxer. Give him a statue somewhere else. I don't understand having it outside the Staples Center. But I'm just looking at it, all of those champions, all of those rings. How many statues you going to have around that place? I just don't know about that. So a statue outside of a basketball arena, I'm not so sure. Clearly there deserves to be a statue in the city of Akron for LeBron James. I'm not into deifying human beings. So saith the Lord. I'm not down with that. But if there was ever a time when it's appropriate, it's what they're trying to do in Akron. Because that's not just about LeBron James, the basketball player. That's about LeBron James, the role model. That's about LeBron James, the motivator, the inspiration, the philanthropist, the role model, everything. If ever there was somebody that deserved it, well, what he has done for that area, it's LeBron James in the city of Akron, Ohio. Obviously, it would be apropos, even though I'm not down with it, for him to have something outside of the Q, Quicken Loans Arena. But in the city of Akron, absolutely. He deserves it. No question about it. It's undeniable. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Irony in all of this. I've been talking for a few minutes about what transpired in the East, but your boy's out west. I'm in San Francisco. I'll be at the Oracle tonight. Game 4. Golden State Warriors, the reigning, defending NBA champion Golden State Warriors, are hosting the Houston Rockets in Game 4 at the Oracle. I shall be there. I'll be doing coverage pregame and postgame on SportsCenter. Look for me, please. And I got to tell you something right now. You know how they say you got 3 losses in a best-of-7 series, you're on the brink of elimination? Houston only has 2 losses, and I'm already telling y'all right now they're on the brink of elimination. If the Houston Rockets lose this game, series is over. It's over in 6. I'm telling you that right now. You can book it. Don't you doubt it. There is absolutely, positively nothing to talk about. If the Houston Rockets lose this game, it's a wrap. They got to win Game 4 tonight. And everybody's been debating the pressure's on. The pressure's on. James Harden's got to show up. James Harden's got to show up. James Harden's averaging 29 a game and 45% shooting during this series. He didn't have a great game last game. Dropped 41 Game 1. Dropped 27 Game 2. James Harden didn't ball last game. That's fair. He's got trees defending against him. Blows past Steph Curry or gives him an elbow, shoves him aside like mincemeat, and you got 3 trees waiting for him. He needs help. And even though he's miniature, and even though he's undersized, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you something right now. That man has to be CP3. I don't want to hear it. I love me some CP3. Another role model. Good dude. Leader. Point guard extraordinaire. But ladies and gentlemen, I sit here before you today making the case that CP3 has got to show up and handle his business in this Game 4 against the Golden State Warriors. First of all, Steph Curry had his way with you and everybody else in Game 3. Secondly, your offensive performance, CP3, was putrid. 1 for 7 shooting, just 3 points in the first half, finished with 13 meaningless points for the games, did virtually nothing offensively. That's unacceptable. CP3 is a Hall of Fame. He's one of the great point guards this game has seen. Pure point guards, one of the greatest this game has ever seen. He went to Houston for a reason. He left Doc Rivers and the Clippers, although he didn't like Doc Rivers that much. Certainly didn't like Austin Rivers that much. Bottom line is, he left. He didn't want the responsibility of having to have the ball in his hands for every single possession. He wanted that responsibility handed to somebody else. That's what CP3 wanted. He wanted to show the ability to play off the ball. He wanted to share point guard responsibilities. He didn't want to have them all by his lonesome. That's why sometimes James Harden has the ball. He also wanted to show that he could score, that he could be more of an offensive force if you gave him the opportunity to be just that. That's what CP3 wanted. Well, you got it. It's all yours, baby. It's all yours. This is what it's all about. And CP3 has to handle his business, plain and simple. There's no way around this. There's no way around this. We can slice it any way he wants to. In the end, what it comes down to is that CP3 has to get it done. He has to do his part. Give James Harden some help, because my God, will he need it. I don't believe all the pressure is on Houston. I believe a lot of it is, most of it is, but the Warriors don't want to have to win another game in Houston. Not the Warriors team I saw in game 2 in Houston. Oh, hell no. They don't want that onus on their shoulders. Mike D'Antoni feels slightly differently, however. Listen to what he said.
We've been through a lot of this year, and they've been great. The world will go on. And, right now, to me, Golden State has all the pressure. They got to win tomorrow night. We should come in with a little bit of swagger and giddy up in our game and see if we can get it.
That's Mike D'Antoni saying if we get them back to Houston, they ain't beating us in Houston again. That's what Mike D'Antoni's trying to say. He might be right. But the thing is, if Golden State wins tonight, they don't have to worry about that. All they have to do is win tonight and win Game 6 at the Oracle. Houston, however, there's no way in hell they can win this series if they lose Game 4 tonight. And Paul Pierce spoke about that and speaking about James Harden. Listen to what he had to say.
This Game 4 can be a defining moment for James Harden right here. We remember in Game 6 last year versus Spurs where he stunk up the gym. They get eliminated. Spurs didn't have Kawhi. This can be a career-turning game for James Harden.
He's right. James Harden cannot stink up the joint. You can't show up tonight and don't take a shot for the first 17 minutes of a game. You can't show up tonight and score a putrid 10 points or whatever the hell it was that he scored in Game 6 against the Spurs in the Western Conference semifinals last year. You can't have an imposter stealing your uniform and pretending to be you because you are nowhere to be found. That cannot happen. I don't believe it will happen with James Harden tonight. I believe James Harden's going to show up. I don't believe he's going to drop 41. But I think it's more reminiscent of a Game 2 performance. They got to get help from the supporting cast, too. We all know that. But CP3 has got to show up. And y'all are missing the biggest reason why. But I'll explain it in just a minute. You're listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio. There's a reason, a bigger reason, that most of you have missed as to why CP3 has to perform tonight. I'll explain in just a minute. You're listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio.
Washing my nose, oh yeah.
I'm a shower curtain, and I do one thing, keep water from leaking everywhere. So you see why I feel useless compared to Geico, who does so much more. Like, not only could Geico save you money, but they've been around for over 75 years. And they give you 24/7 access online, over the phone, or on the Geico app. And they've got a 97% customer satisfaction rating. They do all this while I have to listen to this chucklehead. Oh, good, he stopped.
Washing my toes.
Oh, great, an encore.
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more. You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
888-SAY-ESPN is always the number to call. It's 888-729-3776. You are listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio. Before I get to the calls, let me say this. And we can have this discussion. Because I understand the belief. All the pressure's on James Harden. He's going to be the MVP. He had the spectacular regular season. He averaged 30 again. He did this. He did that. They had the best record in basketball. I am not trying to absolve James Harden from any responsibility. But let me tell you why so much responsibility is on Chris Paul, arguably more so than it's ever been in his career. Ladies and gentlemen, don't y'all believe that you first got to learn how to win? That the hardest part about winning is like learning how to win? Learning how to go through and endure those trials and tribulations and coming out on top? Don't y'all believe that? I do. Let me tell you why it matters now. Ladies and gentlemen, you might not have been paying attention. Let me do it for you. 2014, 2015, I believe, first year that the Golden State Warriors won the title. Steve Kerr's first year as coach. Year after Mark Jackson departed. If y'all recall, the heated rivalry were the Clippers and Golden State. The year before, Golden State had lost in 7 games to the Clippers. If you remember, the Clippers and the Golden State Warriors did not like one another. They did not get along at all. And everybody was looking forward to those two going up against one another. Clippers get through the first round. Clippers advance to the second round. Their franchise had never been in a conference finals. They're up 3-2 in the third quarter with a 19-point lead. Chris Paul is putting on a show. Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan are dunking all over the place. Clippers are on the way to the conference finals for the first time in franchise history. James Harden can't get anything going. Kevin McHale, the coach at the time, can't figure things out. And what happens? Kevin McHale puts James Harden on the bench. Corey Brewer and Dwight Howard were on the court. And they go on like a 49-9 run and beat the Clippers and force a Game 7. One of the epic collapses. James Harden might not have been on the court, but Chris Paul was. So was Blake Griffin. And they had everything to do with the collapse that took place. And once that collapse unfolded, and then they lost Game 7 to the Rockets. The Rockets were not the team that the Clippers were, nor did they have the rivalry with Golden State that the Clippers did. And everybody made the argument that cleared the path towards Golden State capturing its first championship. Well, by that time, they learned how to win. The Clippers never recovered. And as a result, we've seen the Golden State Warriors in 3 consecutive NBA finals. What I'm saying is, James Harden didn't have much to do with that Clippers collapse. James Harden didn't have but so much to do with spearheading the way for Golden State to learn how to become champions, because this Houston Rockets team wasn't good enough. CP3 has something to do with that. You fast forward to this year, and it's Game 3, and Steph Curry gets shellacked in Games 1 and 2, only shoot 15% from three-point range at that time. And he explodes for 35 in Game 3, hitting all 7 of his shots in the third quarter. And again, Chris Paul is nowhere to be found to stop the bleeding. In my mind, Chris Paul is a superstar. He's a superstar point guard. I'm not talking about superstar play. I'm talking about a floor general. He's extraordinary. He's phenomenal. He's very, very gifted. It is entirely unacceptable for him to disappear the way he disappeared in Game 3. He has got to be the one to show up in Game 4. He has got to be the one who answers the call. He has got to be the one who answers the bell and lets James Harden know, I'm right here with you, bro. We going down together. And we going down swinging. And that's how it's going to be. Ladies and gentlemen, as daunting as this task is, it is not impossible. You're the Houston Rockets. Your mission is clear. We need to regain home court advantage. We need one game. That's it. One game this series is tied. One game this series returns back to Houston. One game we reclaim home court advantage. I know they're playing against stars. Stars who are better than the stars they are and they have. But it doesn't mean that it can't be done. It doesn't mean that for one night you can't show up. That's what they did in Game 2. How come you can't do it in Game 4? Houston Rockets, your season is on the line. H-Town, stand up. H-Town, stand up. H-Town, stand up. This is it, baby. This is it. You lose this game, it's over. You are not beating the Golden State Warriors 3 straight. This will not happen to them 2 years after they let LeBron do it to them in the NBA Finals. It will not happen. You win the night, it's back to square one. Series is even. 0-0, 2-2, best of 3. This is what it is. You don't do this, it's a wrap. Golden State Warriors going to go back to the finals. They win the night. And Chris Paul going to go back to making State Farm commercials. Now, whether he does or not is not the point. He can't have anything to do with it. Chris Paul is a superstar point guard. I'm here to tell y'all. God help America if this dude was 6'4", 6'5" with his skills and his basketball IQ. It would be something to behold. But he's not. And we get that. And because of that, combined with what Golden State brings to the table, you might not beat them. But you can't go down with a game like you had in Game 3. You can't go down playing the way you played. This ain't just about James Harden. This is about CP3 too. You got to show up. Your season's on the line. And maybe your career. You ain't getting no younger. And it's hard to imagine that Houston will get better unless they get LeBron. 888-729-3776. That's 888-SAY-ESPN. Your calls and more up next, discussing these conference finals. You are listening live to Stephen A. on ESPN Radio.
Guess what? You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it. King in L.A., you're live with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. Talk to me, man.
CP got you fooled, Stephen A. I be hearing you say he a pit bull, but he more Chihuahua than pit bull. He a little dirty dog. He ain't no big dog. But look, I got a quick point I want to make.
Why would you call him a little dirty dog?
He's dirty. He's a dirty player. He's got a proven track record.
Yeah. He can get a little bit dirty at times. Okay, I got you. I understand. Okay, no problem. But that don't mean he's a Chihuahua now. But go ahead.
Quick point. Let's say, hypothetically speaking, let's say DeMarcus Boogie Cousins comes back fully healthy. If you the Lakers, wouldn't you rather go after him and Paul George than any other two?
No, not today's game. Because Paul George is a two-way player. Paul George is one of the premier defenders of perimeter players. And the way the game has evolved in this day and age, it's predicated towards perimeter play. I think at some point in time, it'll come back to big boys in the low post and what have you. But right now, it's a perimeter player's game. And if you got somebody like a Paul George who can put in 20 to 25 a night for you, plus defend, I think that's more valuable than Boogie Cousins.
You right.
All right. Take it easy, bro. Thank you for the call. Let's go to Ray in Brooklyn. You're live with Stephen A. Talk to me, Ray.
Stephen A. Smith, thanks for taking the call, brother.
All right, man, go ahead.
You know, Stephen A., there are some players. Now, I don't think CP3 is a little chihuahua or nothing like that.
Exactly.
But there are some players that can get into the Hall of Fame not having any pieces around them and not winning a championship, and you could give them the easy pass. CP3 has had squads around him, Stephen A. Smith, and I'm not taking nothing away from the man because he's an elite player. He is that. But I believe to get over that hump and become that conversation, I'm sorry, I do believe you have to win.
Well, let me ask you this question. Do you think that there are different rooms and there's different levels in the Hall of Fame, in that Hall of Fame house?
No, they were all the same. They made it to the Hall of Fame.
No. I disagree with you. That's where you and I part ways, bro. Listen, I love Chris Mullin, Reggie Miller, people like that. I'm not putting them in the same room as Jordan.
Yeah, you're right. I stand corrected. I misunderstood your question. I thought, because, and this is where I'm going with my point, actually, Stephen A., is that even if he does make it to the Hall of Fame and he doesn't win it, all right, he was a great player. But Stephen A. Smith, this man had pieces, and especially with the Clippers, you thought they were going to take it.
Why you think I've been spending the last 30 minutes going off about how he's got to perform? I brought that up for a reason, Ray. It ain't like I'm sitting out here, and I'm not sitting here quiet talking about we ain't got to talk about CP3. I'm agreeing with you.
100%. Now, there was one more point I wanted to make as far as the Celtics, if I could.
Okay.
Stephen A. Smith, I said that, even I sent out a tweet with your handle and everything on it, that I said after Cleveland was 0-2, I said Boston doesn't win another game. I said that because there's a difference between, and I'm not, listen, they got Kyrie Irving for a reason. That guy's clutch, and I don't think the Cavs don't have a championship. If it wasn't for Kyrie that season, they won it. If it wasn't for Kyrie, the Cavs don't have a championship. But there's a difference between being a young team and being up 2 games and being a young team and being 2 games away from making the finals. I know that doesn't make sense, but that pressure as a young team can start hitting you, and I think it's hitting them now, Stephen A.
Okay. All right. You might have a point. We'll see. But I don't think it's the pressure. I think it's LeBron. I think it's LeBron and what LeBron has been able to do with his troops. I think that's what it is. I don't think that the Celtics are scared and wilting beneath the pressure because the spotlight has gotten too bright and the pressure has become too intense. I don't think that's their problem. I think their problem is LeBron James, who's a problem for almost anybody outside of KD with Steph. That's just my belief. Hour number 2 up next, right here with the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio. Nate Robinson played for D'Antoni, played on the Celtics, and of course, with the New York Knicks. He's up next with George Truly on ESPN Radio.
That's just a sample of what you'll hear on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Hiring? Every business needs great people and a better way to find them. Something better than posting your job online and just praying for the right people to see it. ZipRecruiter learns what you're looking for, identifies people with the right experience, and invites them to apply to your job. These invitations have revolutionized how you find your next hire. In fact, 80% of employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site in just 1 day. And ZipRecruiter doesn't stop there. They even spotlight the strongest applications you receive, so you never miss a great match. The right candidates are out there. ZipRecruiter is how you find them. Businesses of all sizes trust ZipRecruiter for their hiring needs. Right now, my listeners can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/Stephen A. That's ZipRecruiter.com/Stephen A. ZipRecruiter.com/Stephen A. That's with a PH, not a V. That's ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
This is the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I'm Stephen A. To hour number 2 of the Stephen A. Smith Show right here on ESPN Radio, coming at you in 250 plus markets across the United States of America, plus on ESPN Radio, Sirius XM, Channel 80. Number to call up, as always, is 888-729-3776. That's 888-SAY-ESPN. I will definitely get back to your phone calls in regards to the conference finals in just a few minutes, but you're going to have to forgive me for being distracted On the line with me right now is quite honestly one of my favorite athletes I ever had to cover. He played in the National Basketball Association, former first-round pick in New York Knicks 2005. He's now retired from the game. You can listen to him calling some of the games. I saw him on NBA TV one day. I think it was TNT calling one of the games. He's in part of a flag football league right now. But believe it or not, one of the elite athletes, as far as I'm concerned, that we've seen. The one and only Nate Robinson is on the line with yours truly right now. What's going on, man? How you doing?
Steven, what's up, my brother? And first of all, just so they know, I'm not retired at all. I'm trying to play still. So let them know I'm still trying to get back in the league, and I'm in shape and better. I'm in shape. I'm in more shape than the young guys playing right now. I'm
trying to figure out then why the hell haven't you been in the league? You can certainly play better than some of the guys that I've seen.
Man, you got to go on TV and tell them and let them know. Like, Nate Robinson's ready. You know what I'm saying? I think I've been blackballed in the league over the years, but, I mean, that's here or there. But I'm trying to get an opportunity to showcase that I can be a great leader, great person, and score. You know, guys are missing a lot of scoring off the bench, man.
Let me ask you this question. What kind of a player do you think you would have been if you were 6'4", say, instead of 5'9"?
Honestly, I'm not even going to, I would say I'm probably one of the best players to play the game at 6'4". I've been crazy. I wouldn't know how to be able to, interpret that being that tall and with this ability. That'd be scary.
Nate Robinson right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. Before I get into basketball stuff, I need you to talk to me about this American Flag Football League that you're part of. This is wild. You got guys like Carlos Boozer, captain in one of the 4 teams in the league. You got Ocho Cinco and Michael Vick in the league. How did this all come about? Talk to me about that, Nate.
Well, they came to me last year and asked me if I wanted to play, and I wanted to, but I was overseas playing in Venezuela. We won the championship on the team Guaros. It was fun, man. This flag football league is it's starting June 30th. You'll be able to watch the final 11 open. The last game's on NFL Network. You'll be able to watch it on NFL Network. That's pretty cool. Guys on my team, Matt Boozer, Carlos Boozer, Kerry Rhodes, Taj Boyd, my quarterback. We're going up against guys like Michael Vick, Chad Ochocinco, Justin Forsett, Fred Jackson. A lot of guys, man. It's gonna be fun. We're playing against the average Joes. It went from 132 teams all the way down to 12 now. There's 4 professional teams, and we're playing for $1 million. But on top of that, for me, it's bragging rights. I get to go against the cheat code, Mr. Mike Vick. If I get a pick 6 and take it to the crib, you're gonna see that dance, that Deion high step. I can't wait. It's gonna be fun, man.
But for Nate, for those that watched you play in the NBA for years as a miniature dynamo, winning the slam dunk contest along the way, by the way, what are you doing? Explain to our listeners. I have an idea because I know what you did in college, but explain for our listeners, what are you doing playing flag football when your career was as a professional basketball player?
I would just consider myself a professional. I think I could have played in the NFL if I would have chose that route. But God blessed me with a great deal of talent to be able to play the game of basketball that I love dearly. I would just say that, the fans, they get a glimpse of, they get to see me be the player that I was in high school and college. I was a football player before I was really a basketball player, so they get to see me in my natural element.
Nate Robinson right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. Let's get to some of these playoffs. Thus far, what's been the biggest surprise that you've seen watching these NBA playoffs? Because I know you're watching.
I watch all games, man. It's been fun watching. It was kind of sad to see the Sixers, go out like they did because they had a great season this year. The process they were fun to watch. Man, just watching the Warriors and the Rockets go at it has been fun. It's been crazy, and then watching King James, play against a tough Boston team, and then basketball is just at an all-time high right now, man. It's been awesome. It's been great to watch, fun basketball. But the Warriors, man, I'm just so that they have the recipe of winning, of knowing what it takes, and I don't think nobody can beat them.
Let me go back to this with you, Nate Robinson, because obviously you played with the Knicks, and a lot of New Yorkers know you from your years with the New York Knicks. What a lot of people may forget is the fact that you played in Boston as well, and you were on two teams that actually faced the LeBron James-led team in the playoffs. I want you to talk to me first off. Talk to us about what it's like having to prepare to go up against LeBron James.
Man, I don't know if you guys, if your listeners know who Michael Jordan is, but it was, LeBron James is our Michael Jordan in this era. He's our kind of Jordan-ish type of guy. So preparing for a guy like that, there is no preparing. You just got to hope that he has a bad night and he's not dishing and he's not rebounding and getting triple-doubles and scoring 50 and 40 points a game. You just got to lock everybody else up on that team and, knowing that LeBron James is going to do what he do, but you just can't let everybody else contribute.
What's going through y'all mind when y'all watch this guy in his 15th NBA season at age 33, playing the way that he's playing and looking the way that he's looking along the way?
Right. It's scary, man. It just shows, that God is good, man. He blesses us with so much talent, so much unbelievable work ethic. LeBron's a hard worker, and it shows. He's taking care of his body. And, it just seems like he's like he said, he's like a fine wine. He gets better with age. And, I feel that way, too, about my game. I feel like I'm getting better as time goes on. So, we'll see.
Nate Robinson.
Goes, man. Hopefully LeBron James can get back to the finals again. That'd be unbelievable.
Do you really want him to get back to the finals knowing what's going to happen to him against Golden State? Do you really want that?
Yeah, because if he beats Golden State, he prolongs his legacy, him being the king. That's what Jordan would have done. Jordan would have made it back to the finals, with Warriors being the favorite, come in and just win, be the underdog and go destroy like he always been doing.
What kind of chance are you giving Houston? Because we're talking about Golden State like it's a foregone conclusion. But as far as I'm concerned, Houston has the MVP in James Harden this year. They've got CP3. What about Houston?
I don't know, man. Houston, they can score the ball, but can they get stops that they need against one of the best teams in basketball history? That's tough. There's no stopping. You stop Curry, there's Clay. You stop Clay, there's Draymond. You stop Draymond, it trickles down. You got guys that can come in and help with their team, and they all just fall in line. They're like a better San Antonio with more shooters and scorers.
Nate Robinson, I'm gonna put you on the spot here because when you talk about can they get stops, we're not just thinking about players here. We have to think about the coach. Mike D'Antoni's their coach. He's your former coach for the New York Knicks. His style of coaching, do you think his style of basketball can win an NBA championship?
I believe so. If it's not this year, maybe a couple years down the line. He has the players. He scores a lot of points. His offense is his defense. So his biggest thing on if we can outscore you, we're going to beat you. And right now, he needs the stops to go along with the buckets. And they're not, some games they have it and some games they don't. And a team like the Warriors, you can't not have it. You got to have both all the time.
Nate Robinson, former New York Knick, former Boston Celtics, right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. By the way, he's a part of the American Flag Football League. It's the first professional flag football league in the United States of America. They got to start on June 30th. You'll be able to watch the final 11 U.S. Open football games live on the NFL Network, so make sure you don't miss that. Nate, let me get back to you in this particular situation. Since you are not retired, since you still want to play, since you still at your 5'9" athletic frame, with the body of a football player, certainly you're not going to get pushed around. We know that about you. What do you believe would be the ideal landing spot for your talents if you want to return back to the NBA?
If I was to return back to the NBA, I know I can help every team in the league, but as me, being a commentator of the game, being on NBA TNT and stuff like that, shout out to them for always having me on, always welcome me with open arms. The Thunder, I can help the Thunder for sure. Come off the bench, I watch their games. They have no bench scoring. Who else?
Take your time. Take your time, bro.
I can definitely help the Rockets. I can definitely help Cleveland. I can go down the list of teams, man. I just want an opportunity. I want an opportunity to showcase myself, to show them that I can. I just need to get into a camp, veterans camp, and show them that I'm in better shape than a lot of these young guys. I work out two times a day. You know, my work ethic is always there. I can score the basketball. I pick up full court type. You know, I do it all, man. And I just need somebody to really take that chance to give me that opportunity to shine, to show them that I can still do this at the age that I'm at.
How come you haven't mentioned the New York Knicks, your former team?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if Donut actually likes me, man. Donut said he'll never have me come back as a Knick, so that's what I've heard has been going around. I would love to be a Knick, honestly. That'd be the ideal place, but you know, I know the city will welcome me with open arms again. I know they'll love to have me back. That'd be awesome. That'd be a blessing, man. God will be
you have any
even better.
Any idea why James Dolan wouldn't like you?
I don't know, man. Honestly, I mean, I've done everything that man asked me. I've been to every appearance. I've shown up ready to play every game. I would think he would love for me to come back, but I heard that he just, for some reason, didn't like Nate Robinson for whatever reason. I bought him 3 slam dunk champions to the Knicks when we were trash. I mean, I've done my part, so I'm just trying to get another opportunity to showcase.
What about the Lakers, Magic Johnson? What about them? They could use some punch off the bench.
They got Isaiah Thomas already. They don't need 2 little guys like us.
I don't know if Isaiah Thomas is going to stay there past this summer. I don't know about that one. I got to look into that one, Nate Robinson. I got to look. They might have to renounce rights to him if they're going after some max players now. They might have to renounce those rights to him. Okay.
The way the Rockets will win a championship if they get Kawhi Leonard on their team to be able to play some defense on that team. That's the only way they're going to win it.
Well, Houston ain't getting their hands on Kawhi Leonard. San Antonio ain't going to trade Kawhi to Houston. I can't see that happening. Listen, man, you know better than that. But, Nate, man, I appreciate it, man. Thanks for coming on the show. Continue doing a great job. Good, no problem, man. My pleasure. And, by the way, that American Flag Football League definitely will be watching that. And keep doing that commentary. Keep doing that commentary. You're pretty damn good at it, bro. You're pretty damn good at it.
Thank you, man. I try to add my own little flavor to it. They let me be myself. That's what I do love about TNT. They let me be myself. They let Nate Robinson commentate the game the way he wants. And I appreciate that, man, more than you know, man. Right. So, like you said, your job is people think it's easy. It's not easy at all, bro. So I really commend you on what you do. And I appreciate you always for being a fan and showing me love, bro. Because a lot of people, they like to hate on me a lot.
Well, you deserve it. You deserve it, bro. You ain't got to worry about that with me. You deserve it. And by the way, give my love to your mama. You know how much I loved her.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? Sure, man. I appreciate that, bro. Make sure you do that, bro. All right?
I will,
you take it easy.
Yep. Got you, bro.
All right, my man. Nate Robinson, former player for the New York Knicks, the Boston Celtics. He's absolutely right. Ladies and gentlemen, I've never seen a man out of shape. He's a pit bull. He'll go right at you. You know, he'll give you a spark off the bench. I'm not ruling it out. I'm not ruling out the possibility of seeing him back in the NBA. I really am not. I mean, it's not far-fetched. It's not far-fetched if you really, really think about it. I mean, what's wrong with that? He's only 33 years of age. This ain't boxing. Come on now. He ain't a running back in football. This is basketball. I think he can pull it off. I think a career 11-point per game scorer. He's a spark plug off the bench. We know what he can do in that regard. I wouldn't rule it out. I really, really wouldn't. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Lots of stuff to pay attention to. Got to keep my eyes on that man, Nate Robinson. By the way, when was the last time you checked your credit scores? Know what they are now, not from a year ago with Credit Karma. They also offer free credit monitoring, so visit creditkarma.com or download the app now. That's Credit Karma, KARMA.com. By the way, when was the last time you were at the game or concert? Go to vividseats.com/ESPN today, please, for your exclusive discount offer. Vivid Seats, the official ticket partner of ESPN. Once again, thanks to Nate Robinson for coming on the show. Got a lot of NBA stuff to get into, a lot of NBA stuff to continue, because I'm just telling y'all right now, I am not trying in any way. I am a fan of CP3. But there does come a point in time, there does come a moment in your career where you got to stand up. It's not about winning or losing. It's about how you perform. The Boston Celtics playing last night, that wasn't about a win or a loss. That was whether or not you were going to wet the bed and get blown out again in Cleveland. They were down damn near 20 early on. They came back. They scratched, they clawed, they fought. That's what I'm talking about. In the case of Houston, you just got shellacked by 41. In a Western Conference Finals games. That's just horrible. You got to show up. You got to show up. There is no way around that. And it can't just be about James Harden. It's got to be about CP3 too. He's got to show up too. Brother can play. He's a star. He got to show up tonight. You can't just have Steph Curry running around doing what he want to do, shimmying and all of that other stuff. You can't have that. You can't have that. You got to do something about that. And CP3, you want to call it dirty or whatever? Fine. I think he's a pit bull. He'll do whatever he has to do to beat you. He's short and miniature compared to those trees in the NBA. And sometimes that inspires guys to talk junk to him, to come at him and stuff like that. So he's going to fight. He's going to be feisty. He's going to fight back. You don't get an elbow here, a shoulder there, a forearm there. That's what comes with it. So what? He ain't going after nobody's knee or ankle. He's not hitting them in your manly parts, which violates all kind of man rules. He's not doing anything like that, even though some would argue he's done that before. But that's neither here nor there. My point is, he's balling. He's got to go out there and ball tonight. CP3's got to show up. There is no way around it. He's got to show up. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Mustafa in Vancouver. You're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Hey there, buddy. You have to win tonight. CP3 has got to show up. I agree with you. But the problem with Golden State is game one, Steph Curry had a bad game, right? And Klay Thompson went off. Kevin Durant's unguardable. They don't necessarily need Curry to have a great game. One of those three guys can have an off game, and the Warriors can still dominate and win the game. So my money's still on the Warriors to win this game, even though I want the Rockets to win this game. But if I was a betting man, I'll choose the Warriors. The other guys have to step up. PJ Tucker, Clint Capella needs more. He needs to defend the rim and rebound the ball better, block some shots. Kevin Durant, though, in my opinion, is just, once he came on that team, one-on-one, and the Warriors, when they move the ball around, they give the ball to Durant, he can score over anybody. It's literally unguardable. There's nothing you can do. Curry got his confidence back now, so it's going to be very, very tough for the Rockets to win this game tonight, man.
It's going to be very, very tough, but it ain't impossible. It ain't impossible. We're going to find out what they made of, Mustafa. We're going to find out what they made of. And by the way, even if you lose, you better go down swinging. It better be a tight, hard-fought contest. You better not fold like a cheap 10. I tell you that much. Exactly. Trevor Ariza getting in Draymond Green's face and all of that other stuff, calling them the B word, that's fine. But it ain't fine when you lose them by 30 or 40. You got to show up. Appreciate the call. Go ahead, Mustafa. One last point. Go ahead, man.
The Celtics are undefeated when they play in Boston, right? So for whatever reason, they play terribly on the road and they play well at home. So I think this series will go 7 games. LeBron, but if I was a betting man, I would never bet against LeBron James in a game 7, even though it's in Boston. But We'll see how it goes.
I got you. Appreciate the call. Thanks a lot, man. Let's go to JP in Brooklyn. You're live with Stephen A. Talk to me, JP.
What's up, baby? How you doing? I miss you so
good,
much,
man.
Stephen. You doing an excellent job. I love that interview you had with Nate Robinson. He is so respectful. You see what he said about Jordan and LeBron? He said LeBron is the Jordan of our era. He's Jordan. He's not being disrespectful, saying, no, LeBron is better than Jordan. Some of these people, I don't understand, how they could do that. Jordan is the only guy in NBA history, the most 50-point wins, 50-point games, over 50-point games in the playoffs. You put LeBron, you put Kareem, you put Kobe, you put other players together, and they still cannot. They still don't have the most 50-point games in a playoff series. Jordan is doing what these guys are doing today. He used to do what these guys are doing today, where they outscore teams. No matter what you bring, they outscore. Jordan he refused to let people beat him or to win on his court. Jordan's the greatest of all time. Let's stop this narrative. LeBron James is better than Jordan. It would never happen. Never. Okay?
Well, you know how I feel about it. By the way, JP, before I let you go, let me read some numbers to you, okay? Are you listening?
Okay.
MJ scored 30 in the 30-plus games in his postseason career, okay? 30-plus games in his career. Michael Jordan had 460. 40-point plus games in his career. He had 172. 50-plus games in his career. He had 34. 60-plus games in his career. He had 5. Just so you know.
What does that tell you, Steven? He will not lose. That's why you cannot compare LeBron to Jordan. You can't. It's very disrespectful. These people are so disrespectful today, Stephen A. I just cannot continue dealing with it. I can't.
I got you. I appreciate it, JP. Thanks a lot. Y'all got JP upset. He just can't take it. He can't take the disrespect. Okay? And I understand. LeBron's not Jordan. Never going to be Jordan. He's got 5 NBA Finals losses. That does it for me. Okay? And not only that, the blasphemy that came out of Scottie Pippen's mouth yesterday or the day before where he's talking about errors. If you're going to bring up errors, there's nothing to discuss as it pertains to Jordan. Because LeBron, even though he could play in any era, the physicality that came associated with the Jordan era is what we should all marvel at even more when we consider his greatness. Because that physicality that he had to endure, LeBron has never been subjected to. Because the game is considerably softer today than it was during the Jordan era. Period. End of discussion. You are listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show. ESPN Radio, back with your calls, back with more talk about the NBA Western Conference Finals, back with more talk about LeBron. And how do we put his greatness in context without insulting Michael Jordan? Can somebody come up with a suggestion for that for me, please? I'd really, really appreciate it. More of the Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio in a minute.
Next, you're holding up the line, ma'am.
What did you say?
You're next in line for the water slide, ma'am. Feet forward and enjoy the ride.
Okay, dearie. This does look fun. Whee-oh! You melted me. I've melted.
The Wicked Witch of the West on a water slide? Surprising. What's not surprising? How much you could save by switching to Geico.
See what you've done. Oh!
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Welcome back to Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, coming at you as I love to do every weekday over the airwaves of ESPN Radio, 250-plus markets across the United States of America. Let's get back to the phones at 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Who do I have on the line, Kat? Tim in Missouri, you're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Stephen A., what's up, my man? Just want to say I am honored to be on the line with you.
Thank you.
Had a quick comment about Jordan versus LeBron. Whenever I hear this whole debate going on, obviously we're talking about two totally different players from two totally different eras. I grew up watching Jordan, probably the most electric player I've ever had the opportunity to watch. But the one common denominator that I can't help but overlook is the Zen master. You look at LeBron and everything that he's achieved, you don't really have a whole lot of excellent coaches that pop up in the conversation, whereas you look at the huddle whenever Jordan was in the game, Phil Jackson was always in control of that huddle. When you look at the huddle with any team LeBron's been on, LeBron is always in control of that huddle. And so I just think the supporting cast tends to get overlooked in how Jordan was able to achieve all the great things that he did. I can't necessarily say, one player is greater than the other because LeBron hasn't necessarily been given.
The thing about it, well, you can say that, and I can understand that's a respectable opinion, and I certainly can't poo-poo that. What I would say to you is that where I get real deep into the weeds of this is when I go into the errors. I think the level of opposition that you face matters. And I think that when you are 260, 270 pounds, and the rules are catered towards you in a way that says people have to play basketball to stop you. The reason why that resonates with me so profoundly and why that matters is because I am of the mindset that when I watched Jordan and the Pistons invoke the Jordan rules, when I saw what Isaiah Thomas was subjected to, along with various other players in an era that was far more physical and that you had to endure far more physical play, that matters to me. That really, really does. Particularly when you're talking about a LeBron James that had to evolve and mature and grow into what he was. Do y'all realize that if LeBron James was playing in a different era, he may have never graduated to that point? Because of the tactics that people were allowed to employ to demoralize you and to make you shrink mentally and emotionally? Do you realize that? Y'all, people don't take that into account, but I do. I pay attention to that. That matters to me, and I don't ignore that. I never have, and I never will.
Absolutely, yeah, and that's something that I've often pondered myself. Like, what would LeBron look like going up against a late 80s Pistons or Celtics team? You know, the Eastern Conference was just so much more physical, and I mean, but down in the post, you know, like LeBron wouldn't be pushing people around down in the post in that era. You know, and those were things that Jordan was able to get around. He just flew around those guys, you know. And
you also got to remember, because we're in an age that's so considerably softer, that caters towards guard play and dissuades and disincentivizes physical play. As a result, you have coaches putting smaller players on the floor. And putting those smaller players on the floor ultimately puts you in a position where you're not subjected to the same level of physicality. LeBron James is a perimeter player. So because he's a perimeter player, he can get away with that. But what if you were in a different era where they could hand check and they could do a lot of different things? Certainly from a physical perspective, he's still phenomenal and he still would have been great in his own right. But don't tell me he would not have been demoralized. Don't tell me he wouldn't have been dissuaded, particularly when you could take bigger guys and put them on the floor and turn them into a complete perimeter player, because anytime he got in the post, he was going to get hammered. Not that he doesn't get fouled down, but I'm talking about hammered without getting the calls. If he was dissuaded from going in the post, now, how would he have been then? People don't think about that, but it's the truth. And I refuse to ignore it. And I won't do it. I just won't ignore it.
I appreciate you for not doing that, Stephen A. Thanks so much for letting me call in, man.
Thanks a lot.
You have a great day.
I appreciate it. Thank you. You do the same. Kat, who else we got on the line? T in Atlanta, you're live with Stephen A. Go ahead. Go ahead, T.
So, Stephen A., I'll talk to you in a minute, man. Good to finally be able to get back on with you. Hey, I got a question that says we're talking about errors. I got two quick questions for you.
Yeah.
I don't even like to compare LeBron to Jordan, but I will ask you this question because I was young when I seen Magic Johnson, but so I don't get on me too bad. But I say LeBron's the best passer I ever seen. Do you agree with that? Do you think he was better than Magic at passing?
No, I'm not going to say anybody was better than Magic Johnson at passing the ball.
Are they like on the same level?
LeBron is a great passer. Please don't get me wrong. But Magic Johnson was coming from a point guard spot where you knew he wasn't about scoring, and he still found a way to thread the needle and do things in terms of passing the basketball that we have never seen. I'm not going to give LeBron James the edge over over Magic Johnson, but I will tell you that he's a great passer, and he's one of the great passers we've ever seen from the forward position. I'll give you that.
Okay, so next question I want to ask, I never, as far as the triple-doubles go in today's game, like, Russell Westbrook getting all these triple-doubles, but I'm not going to say they don't mean nothing to me, but they don't mean as much to me as it did. Like, there are no Dale Davises, Anthony Mason, like, there are no guys like that today in the league. So, really, today, when I see Russell Westbrook averaging a triple-double, it speaks to his motor and his relentlessness, and he doesn't get tired. So, as a person that never seen Oscar Robertson play, what stood out about Oscar Robertson that made him like?
Well, he was he was a triple threat. He could score, assist, and rebound, and most guys couldn't do that. Not to the level that he did, but it was a different era. And here's where we have to give credit where credit is due. There truly would, for example, as great as Michael Jordan was, would he have been MJ if it wasn't for Dr. J? Would Dr. J have been Dr. J if it wasn't for Connie Hawkins? Let's not forget David Robinson. I'm sorry. Oh my goodness. Skywalker out of North Carolina State. David Thompson. Let's not forget him. I mean, there are eras that precede you. When you look at Jerry West and ask yourself, would there have been a John Stockton? Ask yourself, would there have been other guys? You learn from those who preceded you. And they give you some sort of indication of what's great and what's not. And you're able to emulate it to some degree and then elevate your level of play. And that's what we can't ignore about what we see from previous generations, which is why we must always respect our elders. And we must always respect generations that came before us. Because we wouldn't be where we are and what we were and what we are if it were not for them. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Your calls to close out the show in a minute. You're listening live to Stephen A. on ESPN Radio.
Guess what? You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it! Back to the phones we go at 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Let's go to Stacy in North Carolina. You're live with Stephen A. Hey, Stacy, how are you?
Good, sir. How are you doing, Mr. Smith?
Oh, man, I thought you were a woman. I'm sorry. What's up, man? How are you?
Hey, man, it's okay. Hey, I grew up 6 blocks from Michael Jordan in Wilmington, North Carolina.
Okay.
My whole life I've been led to believe that he's the greatest basketball player of all time, and I've always believed that until LeBron has made the argument to me so much closer. This guy is playing a game that we've never seen before. I think Jordan, he has 6 expansion teams in his era of playing. I think there was 2 teams technically that really played rough physical basketball in the Pistons and the Knicks. And I feel like, if you go back and you look at the last finals for Jordan, he shot 41% and shot 70 free throws in 6 games. Shaquille O'Neal in 2002 shot 68 free throws in 4 games against the net, and that's Hack-a-Shaq. And last year, LeBron shot 36 free throws, averaged a triple-double against the Warriors. This guy has played 8 finals, and 6 of them has been against 2 dynasties.
Yeah, but you're not taking into account system. If you're playing against a team that's running it up and down the court and they play a finesse style of basketball and they shoot jump shots all over the place, you can't go by that. Secondly, when you're talking about a team like, for example, let's say, for example, hypothetically, if you were playing the Houston Rockets, well, Mike D'Antoni will tell you to let somebody score. Don't foul them because it's all about pacing. And we want the pace to continue to be pushed. And we don't want you to stall play by fouling somebody. So you got to take into account the level of competition. But please call me back tomorrow when we have more time to talk because I'd like to dig further into that conversation, Stacey. But thanks for the call. Tony in West Palm. It's now carrying the Stephen A. Smith Show. Appreciate y'all a lot, West Palm City. You're live with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. Tony, what's up?
Peace to you. First off, Stephen A. Great show. Second off, as far as comparisons go, they're great for the talk, and talking about greatest of all time. It's a great thing, to as far as for the shows, but to talk about all time is difficult. Time continues. We're always going to have these greats coming in, coming out. People talk about the game and how, it's being played different now and how, but these kids the young men that are playing this game now, they've never seen the game that Stephen A., I'm in my 30s, late 30s, that we saw. You understand? When we have a brother talking about, the physical basketball was only the Knicks and the Pistons. I mean, what NBA was he watching? Let me tell you something real quick about LeBron. I believe if LeBron would have been Cleveland Cavaliers back in the late 80s, early 90s, he would have been Kevin Durant, doing his best to find a way to go to Chicago, to go to one of the great teams of that time. The Trailblazers, one of those teams. Look, LeBron, amazing. Let's leave it at that. Why can't we just, how you said before, appreciate what we're being given right now?
Don't do that. Don't do that. People want to debate. That's what they want to do. If people want to reflect on the past, that's what they want to do. When you home and you're thinking about a great player, sometimes you'll talk about him solo. Sometimes you'll talk about him in the context of comparing him to somebody else. They're just bringing that conversation to the airwaves. There's nothing wrong with it.
No
now, we could agree or disagree with it, but everybody's allowed to speak.
And no question. But it takes, for me, again, it's just me. It takes away from what LeBron is doing right now. It's amazing.
Well, you need to get over that. I don't have time for that right now. No more real quick. I got other callers to get to. We'll talk another day, but you need to get over that. You need to get over that. Don't need to be about, just takes away, blah, blah, blah. Stop being emotional. Stop it. Just stop it. By the way, season 3 of the acclaimed 30 for 30 podcast series returns today. Subscribe to 30 for 30 podcast right now in the listen tab of the ESPN app or on Apple Podcasts. Brought to you by Delta, where it's our goal to connect your life in the air to your life on the ground. Life special events call for a beautiful bouquet, by the way, from 1-800-Flowers.com. Right now, when you order a dozen Gabbera daisies starting at $29.99, you'll also get a free vase. For details, go to 1-800-Flowers.com/ESPN. Lots of stuff to continue to get into. Listen, got to get ready for this game tonight. Oh, by the way, let me speak to Michael in New Jersey because he's talking about my Yankees. Real quick, got to give you the last word, Michael. Go ahead.
Steven,
Michael. Go ahead.
Got to talk about my Yankees. I looked in the paper this morning. Best winning percentage. We're back in first place. They're cranking 8 series wins in a row, not since like the 98 teams. And it's the baby bombers showing up, and it's not everybody. There's always a different cast of people stepping up and cranking. They're steamrolling.
I got it because basically what you're trying to say is what I'm about to say. Yankees going to win the World Series this year. That's what's going to happen. But they got to get past Houston with Verlander and Keuchel and Cole and those boys. Whoa! Lots to talk about. I'm at the Western Conference Finals. Talk to you tomorrow.
That's just a sample of what you'll hear on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.